welcome to the Town Board of the Town of Austine's regular meeting for Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Meyer.
Present.
Councilmember Shaw.
Present.
Councilmember Feldman.
Present.
Councilmember Wiltshire.
Present.
And Supervisor Levenberg.
Okay, so we begin our meeting with two public hearings in the matter of local law number 7 of 2019, amendments to chapter 74 of the town code entitled Dogs to regulate registration for and use of the town's dog parks. I believe the village has this on their work session agenda for Village of Austenine has this on their work session agenda for tomorrow evening. I'm still hoping for a response from Village of Briarcliff, through the village manager's office, from the clerk, and we've spoken a couple times. I know that they have been working on it, and I'm still hoping that we will get some feedback. So if the board doesn't have any, and if there's nobody here to address the board on the dog park local law, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn it to October 22nd.
Move.
Wait, okay, let me just double check. Is there anybody here to address the board on the dog park local law? Okay, so once again.
So move.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Next up, we have local law number 8 of 2019, amendments to chapter 180 of the town code entitled Taxation to implement the solar energy system pilot law of the town of Austenine, New York. And that is payment in lieu of taxes for solar developments in the town of Austenine. As many of you recall, last year we passed a solar code that would apply to different size solar developments. And we've heard from a number of folks, mostly from solar developers on this, and we've also been in touch with NYSERDA for New York State because they have some guiding documents to help municipalities adopt this so that we can, in addition to having solar developments in the town of Austenine, find a way to get some tax benefits, not a lot, because basically the state has incentivized these developments so that they would look to develop more solar energy options. And we have had a couple of interested parties approach the planning department to look for guidance from and express interest in considering solar development in Austenine since we have introduced the solar code. So we want to make sure that we can get this pilot in place soon and anticipate most likely we would be closing the public hearing at the next time that it's open, which will hopefully be that we will currently adjourn it to October 22nd, unless there's any comments that any of the board members have, or there's anybody here from the public to address us on the solar pilot. Hearing nobody from the public. Yes.
Did you want me to just briefly go through the amendments
Sure.
that have been made since the last version?
Sure.
It's brief. It's basically just response to comments that were made by the board and a couple of comments that were made by members of the public at the last public hearing. It has been revised to be put in the format for local laws that the town board generally develops. However, other than as noted in red line in one highlighted location, which there's really no distinction. It was just, I should have changed it to red line. Substantively, it's all the same. It's just the formatting's a little different. So, and it indicates what chapter of the code it would be inserted into. So the first change was in subsection D, which, and then, so it would be section 180.37, subsection 3, sorry. At the last public hearing, Councilwoman Feldman had indicated that this section wasn't particularly clear because it stated that the provision, it was a required pilot, but it's not required in every situation. And so we just inserted language to say when it's required, except as otherwise, if it's exempt from the provision as set forth in subsection 1, which is for solar energy systems with a capacity residential solar energy systems with a capacity less than 1 megawatt, and solar energy systems that do not seek or qualify for an exemption from real property taxes pursuant to real property tax law, section 487(4). So did that, okay. And then a comment we received from the public is in subsection 5 of that same section. This was added the last time around to indicate that in the event there are multiple solar energy systems on one property that are put in at different times, such that the first system is under the 1 megawatt threshold, and then after the addition of an additional solar energy system, it's over the 1 megawatt threshold, then it would be subject to the pilot requirements. And one of the comments that the public had was that it be clear, as we'll discuss in a moment, depending upon the type of solar energy system that it is, they will be treated differently in terms of how the amount of the pilot is calculated. So a sentence was just added to, I thought it was understood that way, but just to make it explicitly clear so that there's no question. Even though there are two separate systems or multiple systems that could exceed the 1 megawatt threshold, the calculation will be based upon that each type of system and then combined into one payment. And then in furtherance of that is on the last page, which is section 180-38, the contents of the pilot agreement, subsection 8, which talks about what the annual payment would be. And originally, we had added language last time around that the solar energy system that is roof mounted or canopy that is placed exclusively over impervious surfaces would be charged at a reduced rate as opposed to other solar energy systems. But the feedback from the board was that it was more about parking lots generally and those that are existing without vegetation. Bless you. So I included some additional language to include that as a possible option for the lower rate as well. And the solar energy developer who did make those comments actually did reach out to me today and thanked the board for their continued work on this and said that they had no further comments based upon the revisions that have been made on the current version. So it seems to have satisfied the comments that had been made by the public. And then in sub 8B, it was just changing a cross-reference that had been previously entered. So that's it.
Fantastic. Questions, further discussion? Okay, hearing none. And anybody from the public who just entered that wants to comment on the solar pilot local law? Hearing none. Could I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing to October 22nd?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So moving right along, we're going to go right into announcements. Last week, the League of Women Voters of Rivertowns hosted a forum in Ossining as part of our town hall meeting program on the 3 ballot initiatives that are up for a vote this November in our community. And that's in the town. If you live in the town of Ossining, whether you live in the unincorporated town, the village of Ossining, or the village of Briarcliff that is in the town of Ossining, this pertains to you, to convert the positions of receiver of taxes, town clerk, and superintendent of highways from elected to appointed positions. I hope you will agree that it was an informative and helpful panel discussion, and I encourage you to check out the recording on the town's YouTube channel if you were unable to join us last Tuesday. If you'd like to learn more about why these proposed ballot initiatives are before the voters of Ossining, please check out the website projectforwardtoo.com. We look forward to hearing from the public on these initiatives in November. Actually, early voting is going to start October 26th, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Also, today, September 24th, is National Voter Registration Day. If you're not registered to vote today, is certainly the day to do it, but you do have until October 11th to register before the general election. Visit the Westchester County Board of Elections website at citizenparticipation.westchestergov.com to learn more and register to vote today. And as mentioned, early voting will begin October 26th, and I believe on the weekends the voting is, does anybody remember the hours? 11:30, 12 to 5. Okay, you actually, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna see if we can get the times before the end of this meeting. I could use some help on that. if anybody wants to look up the times. Okay, thanks. And we'll get back to you. I would like to take a moment to give a big shout out to the Sing Sing Prison Museum, especially Vice President Stephanie Lynn Kleiman, for bringing the weight room to our very own Lewis Angle Park. The weight room was a moving performance inspired by the experiences of women whose loved ones have been or currently are incarcerated. I had the opportunity to attend Friday night's performance and was blown away. It was especially thought-provoking right outside the walls of Sing Sing Prison, where unfortunately so many family members must experience the trauma of having a loved one behind bars. I also actually had the opportunity to see the documentary and discussion series film Trey Mason Dasan, which also pertained to the same subject matter and was equally moving. We all look forward to the Sing Sing Prison Museum opening in just a few short years, and hopefully the preview center will be open next year so that they can continue to challenge the status quo of our broken criminal justice system with exhibits and special programs like the weight room. Everyone in Austin and Briarcliff's first half school tax is due on Monday, September 30th. You can pay your taxes online at townofaustin.com on the Receiver of Taxes page, or come in the office and pay in person weekdays 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And some of us have generously decided that we will park elsewhere so that we can avail the public of a few more parking spots between now and the last day of collections. On the last 2 days of collection, this Friday, September 27th and Monday, September 30th, the tax office will have extended hours, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. There's also a special mail slot at the Austin Post Office that gets delivered directly to the receiver's office. If you have any questions, please call the tax office at 914-762-8790. Receiver Perlowitz and her staff are always very happy to help in any way they can. September is the annual Hudson River Valley Ramble, and this is the last weekend to take advantage of all the great events scheduled throughout the region. I encourage you to check out the many ways you can get outdoors with your family and enjoy all of the recreational and cultural resources right in our backyard. At HudsonRiverValleyRamble.com, you can see all that's available. Here in Ossining, you can join in on the Ramble fun by participating in the last Mind, Body, Spirit Ossining for the season. The class scheduled for this Saturday, September 28th, is Sue Radpavar's very popular Studio 95 Zumba at Engle Park from 4 to 5 p.m. Zumba is for all ages. The end of Mind, Body, Spirit Ossining means it's time to draw the winners for our raffle with prizes from our partners at UMAC Briarcliff and Club Fit Briarcliff. We will be drawing from all Mind, Body, Spirit Ossining participants who registered for a class in advance. So you still have a chance to register for that last class. Keep an eye out next week for a call or email from us. You just might be the lucky winner. Don't miss part 2 of Ossining Town Historian Scott Craven's Hudson River Lecture Series. Part 1 was last week, but part 2 is tomorrow, Wednesday, September 25th at 7 p.m. at the Ossining Public Library's Boudars Theater, and will focus on the history of Route 9, what it was, and how it got to be built as it stands today. Scott is a magical storyteller, and it's always extra cool to see and hear about the very important events that helped form our piece of the Hudson Valley. Also at the library this week are 2 presentations about healthcare. On Thursday, September 26th at 1 p.m., learn more about supporting heart health with Dr. Ricardo Esquitin as part of New York Presbyterian Hospitals and Austin Public Library's Health and Wellness Series. Then later on Thursday from 7 to 8:30, you can learn more from the experts about the New York Health Act and extending healthcare coverage for all. This weekend, head over to the Maryknoll Sister Center for their fall festival on September 28th, which is Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. I always love this event, so make sure you check it out. All of the proceeds from the festival will benefit the elderly Maryknoll sisters living here in Austin, and those are their words, not ours, just so you know. Then on Sunday, the Austin Boat and Canoe Club is holding its annual Family Fun and Fishing Day from 12 noon to 4 p.m. with fishing, crafts, food, and fun, just $10 per family. If you do plan on heading out of town this weekend, bear in mind that there will be changes to the Hudson Line Metro North schedule starting Sunday, September 29th. I believe they are adding service, so plan ahead. Check it out. Next Tuesday, October 1st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Westchester County Legislator Borgia, the Westchester County Department of Planning, and the Village of Austin are hosting a town hall discussion on the 2020 census. And we've also been partnering with the Village of Austin on this effort. So even though we're not officially a partner, I'm going to ask you to zoom in on this, Tom, please. The town hall meeting will be at the Austin Public Library's Boudars Theater. Westchester County Department of Planning Commissioner Norma Drummond will be the keynote speaker. Ensuring an accurate count during the 2020 census is extremely important. Population counts determine so much on the federal level, including our representation to Congress and significantly allocations for funding, including school district funding. I hope you will join me for this important conversation. Yes, you can still make our town board work session just down the street that evening, which starts at 7:30 p.m. So 6 p.m. for the census town hall and 7:30 p.m. right after that for our meeting. Finally, Halloween is right around the corner. Get your tickets now for the Forest O' Fears, The Haunting at Cedar Lane. This year we have 4 nights of ghoulish fun planned for you. 2 Saturdays and 2 Sundays, October 18th and 19th and 25th and 26th. Visit forestofears.org to grab your tickets before someone grabs you. Also this year, all proceeds will go to the SPCA of Westchester so you can plan an evening of family fun while also supporting a great local nonprofit. And we do anticipate food trucks. So hopefully you will plan the whole evening around Cedar Lane Park visit. And I think that's it for me. Any more from, okay.
You read about the fishing day, the family fun fishing day, so that's good. I just want to remind everybody that the Ossining Historical Society Museum is holding its annual dinner and silent auction on October 24th. The big fundraiser of the year, and tickets are $85 if you get them by October 14th. Really fun, and they have so many antiques to bid on. Anyway. You can contact the Ossining Historical Society at 941-0001 for tickets. Also, the Ossining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy and Jug Tavern of Sparta, along with the Ossining Parks and Recreation Department, present Stories in Stone, Sparta Cemetery on October 20th. Ossining Town historian Scott Craven and Ossining Village historian Dana White will lead you through the historic cemetery and Sparta neighborhood, sharing stories and lore about the people buried there, from the Revolutionary War soldiers, famous artists to river captains. It's October 20th. For tickets, go to OssiningHistoricCemeteries.org or JugTavern.org.
Awesome. Yes. Any other announcement? Lions Club, IFCA. Anything going on? Okay. Fantastic.
Supervisor, I have your early voting dates and
Okay.
times.
Early voting dates and times.
So Saturday, October 26th, and Sunday, October 27th, is noon to 5 p.m. And then throughout that week, it's alternating. So Monday the 28th is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday the 29th is 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Wednesday the 30th is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday the 31st is 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Friday the 1st is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then Saturday the 2nd and Sunday the 3rd are both 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then no early voting on Monday.
Correct. So again, October 26th through November 3rd is early voting, and that is going to be at the Ossining Community Center. I believe it's going to be in the museum on the upper level, and then maybe spill out into the little bit of the hallway. So if you live in Ossining, anywhere in the town of Ossining, you can come vote here. It's a possibility, and the Board of Elections hasn't figured it all out yet, that you will be able to vote any place in Westchester County, but for sure, if you live in Ossining, you will be able to vote early between October 26th and November 3rd at the community center. And that means, again, if you live in the village of Briarcliff, in the part that is in the town of Ossining. So that's my message about early voting. And hopefully we'll spread the word. When the clerk came to our staff meeting yesterday, she actually reported slightly different hours. So please check with the Board of Elections, Westchester County Board of Elections website, because this is a moving target a little bit. We're not 100% sure if the hours have been confirmed, if the locations have been confirmed, where they're kind of changing them as they go. And we're just doing our best to keep up with those changes. So please do check the Board of Elections website before you go to vote, if you plan to vote early. Otherwise, your regular polling place will be open on Tuesday, November 5th. And as usual, you can go there from, I believe it's 6 to 9. Okay, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. All right, that's it for that. So thank you very much, Madeline Zahach. I appreciate that. Okay, so now we are moving right along, and we are going into our liaison reports. Are there any liaison reports from my board colleagues? No, okay. I will just announce that the Briarcliff Manor Fire Department annual inspection dinner is going to be held on Saturday, October 19th at fire headquarters, and the inspection will be at 7 p.m. I believe the inspection is open to the public. And with that, we will go into our departmental reports. First up, we have Fernando Gonzalez, our town assessor. You probably remember Fernando came recently to talk to us a little bit about the townwide reval, but more importantly, we had a little bit of an interview situation that where we discussed the reval and all that was going to be happening on a video on which you can find on the town's YouTube page, and that will give you all the information about the reappraisal project that is in progress as we speak. And hello and welcome, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. Excuse
Good
me. As you may recall, the last time I was here, I reported on the changes that were going to be done in preparation for the 2019 assessment roll. I explained that we did analysis of sales to come up with ratios to adjust the neighborhoods by the ratios that were the results of the analysis of the recent sales. In addition to that, we processed building permits, new construction, demolitions, etc. Any changes in inventory to records, corrections to properties where we knew that needed corrections. We added exemptions and removed exemptions so that we could publish the tentative assessment roll in June 1st. So in June 1st, we published the tentative roll as required by law. And we also published, of course, the grievance date, which was June 19th this year. Grievance date came, and we believe we had about 425 grievances, pretty much similar to what we had last year. The Board of Assessment Review deliberated throughout the summer and ordered adjustment on certain properties, which we implemented on the roll so that we could publish the final roll by September 15, as required by law. This year, September 15 was a Sunday, so the roll was published and sent to the state and the county on Monday, September 16. The report that I have given you is the results of the final roll, which compares last year's roll to this year's roll. I'm very happy to report on the highlighted numbers on the lower part of this report, the changes in value, and we have approximately a $92 million increase in taxable assessed value for town general. That roll section report indicates the increases in the taxable roll, as well as the special franchises and utilities. It also shows changes in the wholly exempt category. Most of the changes, the pluses, of course, are due to the increases in buildings or new construction, and a lot of it was attributed to the club senior housing complex that is being built in Briarcliff Manor, as you know. That's probably about 50 million of that. In addition to that, there was additional construction throughout the town and the village, but the largest portion was the club. As far as the wholly exempt reduction is, of course, when you see a minus or a reduction in the wholly exempt, that's an increase in the taxable assessed value, is the sale or the pending sale of one of the exempted senior housing, sorry, I have a, I don't remember the exact name of the complex at this point, but that complex has been sold to a for-profit, so as a result, they didn't renew their exemption, and they went back on the brandy wine. Thank you, Maddie. Excellent. So, of course, the equity increases to the roll are attributed to the increases in assessed value due to the market conditions. As you know, while the upper end or the high value properties are beginning to show decreases due to the new tax laws, the average home or the average residential home is selling very well, and we did have increases between 1% and 3% in many of our neighborhoods. Again, this is something that goes on every year. As the market changes, we will continue to adjust the neighborhood accordingly. Next year, the reappraisal project that you were mentioning earlier, is the process is slightly different, in which we are not going to do changes based on ratio analysis of sales. We are going to analyze all of the sales, and then we are going to rework the model so that we can produce an individual or a value to each and every one of the property. So the model that drives the valuation in the system will be changed. That is considered a reappraisal project as required by as what is considered best practices by New York State. The following pages basically is the same report for the villages and the town outside, and of course, they all show increases in taxable assessed value, with the largest increase in the village of Briarcliff Manor. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to.
Have a percentage at the higher end houses?
In some of the higher end, based on MLS sales, which would be over $1 million, anywhere from 3 to 20%. Of course, a lot of it's not only the changes in the tax laws, which of course does not allow the deduction of more than $10,000, but also overall, it's not only statewide but nationwide. There seems to be a trend that rich people are getting away from the larger homes. As a result, the market is declining. Same in many areas, not just New York State.
All right. Thank you very much. No further
Thank you.
questions? Thank you very much. See you in a little bit. Okay, so next up, we have our engineering team, Town and Village Engineer Paul Frioli and Water Superintendent Andy Teese. When last you saw them here at our meeting, they were discussing the preliminary work being done on the McCarthy Drive restoration project, and we might have a little bit of an update tonight. No?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Thank you
you,
and welcome.
Supervisor. Thank you, Council, for having us back. Tonight, we're just going to read a myriad of items that I've been working on in the last year or so, and kind of bring you up to speed from the last time we were in front of you to discuss all our projects. Even though the last time was really McCarthy specific, we're going to cover a few different topics tonight. And please, as a board, we'd actually like to read through our reports and then maybe take questions at the end so we don't digress too much. So we'll start with Andy. Thanks.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
All right, I'll start with Dale Cemetery House. This is like the lead role is the town supervisor's office that's kind of doing most of the coordination on this, but this is something I'm working on too. The Dale Cemetery House Rehabilitation Project, the architect has completed the probable cost report, which we have. They're also completing the drawings and preparing the bid specs. Once this is completed, I know that Victoria is working on the advertising date, and we do have the walkthrough. So we're gonna have a walkthrough at the house, make sure that everybody's fully aware of what they're bidding on, and then the bid opening is December 9th. We are working with the town highway superintendent, Pete Conley, to review all sewer lift station generator backup systems. The town owns 12 sewer lift stations. We ran the field test and operated the generators themselves under full load. We did this so we can determine where the obvious investments need to be made to bring these generators up to today's standards. The Westchester County Department of Health, along with New York State DEC, requires every municipality to keep their infrastructure related to this up to date so it avoids any possible spills or discharges. Pete agreed that 2 stations required new generators. I'll talk about those 2 stations. And 1 station, he could actually rehabilitate the generator in-house. Basically, we ran the generator for a while under load. It had minimum hours. It was a candidate, but it really just needs the cabinets themselves to be repainted, sanded, and brought up to today's standards. So that's a huge savings. So it's 2 generators out of 12 stations. We chose 1 generator was the North State Road generator by the ASPCA. This generator will be removed and could be used as a possible backup at the highway garage. So the town highway garage could take this generator. Reason why this generator was picked because it doesn't have the controls to automatically start in extreme cold weather. It's a diesel generator, does not have that setup. So if it was a scenario where it was, 0-degree weather, most likely it wouldn't start. At the highway garage, if it's 0-degree weather, we can have one of the mechanics or one of the people there start the generator manually if it needs to be jumped. But at a sewer lift station, not a good idea. So this future generator will meet the current standards and future standards too for that area. So we'll make sure it's sized accordingly. And then the second generator that really should be changed is Parker Bale Lift Station. That generator reached its useful life and needs replacement, as soon as we get the bid specs ready. Pete and I met with Lindstar Electrical Engineers. So they're an electrical engineering firm that the village used quite a bit for generator replacements. You guys use them down at Ingle Park to design the electrical system for the spray pad and future needs there. They gave us a proposal for $7,750 for everything I mentioned. So that's the construction drawings, that's the bid specs, and that's some construction management, but most of it we'll do ourselves in-house.
Again, that's to prepare the bid specs, not for the generator replacement.
For the generator replacements.
For the bid specs.
Right.
Right. To prepare the bids.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it's a good move to make. The generators themselves, those 2 generators, it'll be probably replace both about 120,000. I know the original budget was like 100,000, but we were gonna amortize that over years and do a bunch of lift stations as we thought we needed to do, but there's really no need. I mean, the other generators are up to today's standards, so I think it would be best bet to do both. So I have the proposal for you guys to review. You ready? Hearth Knolls Sewer Lift Station. I know that the town attorney has worked quite a bit on that agreement. The developer did install the new generator 2 weeks ago for this project. They're scheduled to install the new pumps and controls the week of October 7th. I'll make sure we get out there and they install what they were instructed to install. But once this is complete and the town's satisfied and the Department of Health is satisfied and the town board, planning board, engineer is satisfied, we'll ask for authorization from the health department to allow the sewage to be allowed from that new development into that. So the health department won't allow that to go forward until everybody's satisfied, which is obviously the goal. The 9A water main project, we've been planning this for about 1.5 years. The village's design engineer just received the land survey information from the piping water layout. Basically, we changed the design a little bit so it would save money and not have to bore underneath 9A. So it was worth doing what we're doing. Once everything's complete, we'll send it the bid specs, and not really the bid specs, but the design to the health department for their comments. And once they give final approval, we'll set bid dates. So my goal is to try and bid this by late winter, early spring, amongst some other projects. I didn't write it in my report, but just so the town's aware, we're putting these THM removal systems in 3 tanks, in which 2 tanks reside in the town. It's a $1.2 million project that's going to be going out to bid in the next month and a half. So besides the filter plant project, which is a $40 million plant, which we're looking to bid either late winter, early, not really late winter, late this year or January.
Just to be clear, both of those projects are going to be paid with capital funds from village.
Yes, it's out
budget.
of the water fund in which
Out of the water-
both municipalities pay.
Right.
But it is
Yes.
important for the town to be aware of this because obviously that's where your water comes from. But secondly, those parcels I'm talking about are on town lots, village owned, but it's in the town. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Are we supposed to wait for Paul before we ask questions? Okay. Hi, Paul.
Hello again.
Hello.
That wasn't in my report, but since you mentioned it, or Andy mentioned that both town and village pay into the debt service of the water fund via our water rates. Keep our fingers crossed because the town and village made a collective application to the EFC for their intermunicipal grant application, and that could be up to $10 million to offset the cost of our capital project, which will be the biggest project that the village has ever undertaken. So we're looking forward to positive news on that grant. Now back to my report. Going back with, I don't want to call it good news, but it's not bad news yet. We just received an advance notice that, if you remember, when we were in front of you about a year and a half ago with that PowerPoint, we talked about we were winding down on the old Albany Post Road extension rehabilitation project. That was an extensive project that received significant FEMA funding from FEMA through SEMA to the town of Ossining. Our Deputy Treasurer, Dale Ferrera, really drove that effort. And just want to summarize this email she sent to me. Out of the $1.7 million, we originally had about a $25,000 grant plus or minus, but after applying again with her being the steward behind that, we received an additional $399,000, which was subsequently increased to $483,000 to offset the cost of the project. But we didn't stop there, and we have another application in, which was, I'm going to call it stalled twice already, but we're going to make a third go at it this month to see if we can get balance of the $653,000 that's still outstanding. I mean, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but we did make a really credible effort at reimbursement, and she spearheaded a lot of it. So I wanted to give her those kudos for receiving over $500,000 of grants in the field to offset the cost of that very out of the way project, but definitely we're getting a nice return on the investment for the residents out there. So that was starting with the FEMA grant. Some of the things that are a little more tangible in the town for most of you, if you drive out on the S-turn in Crotonville, sometime last year, the town was considering doing a full demolition of that cobblestone masonry wall at the S-turn at Crotonville, where it goes out towards Newcastle. There's two walls on either side of the pump station, if you know where I'm referring to there. At the time, the town was considering demolition of one of the existing walls and rehabilitating it with a different specification, and kind of thought about that and the aesthetic and what have you and the overall price. And then we revisited it, and after reconsideration, we opted to rehab the wall with the existing materials, which was the cobblestone and masonry construction, and we put some improved drainage there via weep holes and drainage behind the wall, and essentially reconstructed the wall where it needed to be and put all the specifications that should have maybe been put in the wall in the first place. So we look forward to maintaining that aesthetic out there for years to come. I think it came out really, really nice, and ultimately we paid about with the purchase order was about 1/3 the cost of what was originally being considered for only reconstruction of half the wall with a different spec, which quite frankly would not, I don't think it fit in with the character of that neighborhood. So that was a good project where we stepped back and really thought about it and ended up saving money in the process. Some of the paving items coordinated with Highway Superintendent Connolly. After finishing Hawks, we figured I'm going to try to get some more done at the end of this year, and I just recently submitted a PO for processing after reviewing the scope with Superintendent Connolly on Studio Hill Road and Haymont Terrace. Those will get milling and overlay paving in that area, but in advance of that, there has to be some preparation work on the road, including very necessary drainage that needs to be installed to mediate very longstanding icing addition on Haymont Terrace. So actually, a couple of the residents who came out when they saw us nosing around with the contractors, and they were very happy that we were going to do that in advance of the paving. That work you should start to see, and it's probably towards the end of October. I think I can't really speak to the balance of what we're going to pull from CHIPS, so that's not going to be a full debt service. I think some of your CHIPS offset is going to go to some of your CHIPS funds from the state are going to go to offset that project directly because that's what it's intended for. I will conclude with the aforementioned McCarthy Drive project. As you know, that project is more than just a road rehabilitation. It's a full-blown stormwater construction project, really the driving force behind this project, in addition to taking over the road. So that project started out sometime last year where we did an as-built survey to determine where everybody's property sat relative to what is now formerly a right-of-way, adopted via resolution. Actually, it was deemed a right-of-way, so now we're just going to construct a properly specified road in that area, but it's also going to include all stormwater measures up to today's phase 2 standards, which will include some detention and definitely alleviate some of the flooding problems that some of those residents experience out there. Also at that time when we sat with the residents of McCarthy in this room, we thought the construction documents were a little further along with the health department. It did take some time to go through that review process, and we actually have to resubmit because there were some comments made. That resubmittal is being made this week. I don't think it's going to be a significant review, health department's perspective on the resubmittal. It's going to be perhaps 2 to 3 weeks, and right after that, we're going to look to go into the bidding process where we advertise, have a site walkthrough over all the components of that project with the potential bidders, and actually have a bid opening sometime the late fall, early winter. We look to commence work after award in the spring. A little later than we first presented, but the silver lining is that we're not going to have potable water lines above ground feeding the residents during freezing conditions. That's one thing. Another thing, we think we could maybe get a more appealing for contractors to bid in the winter time, so we might get a little savings relative to that. And it also gives Superintendent Connolly and I time to meet with the residents. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Fern for mailing out 29 specific notices to residents that have conflict with the construction documents, and ranging from anywhere from maybe a Belgian block detail that would now encroach on what we are going to now deem our roadway, up to some folks have pillars out there. So we're going to meet individually with those particular owners and come to some type of resolution and incorporate them into the bid documents before we go out to bid. So that's what we're going to be spending a large part of the fall doing, I think. So when we do hit the ground running in the spring, everybody's happy. And not only the construction process, but the end result. So I have been receiving some calls in the office. Fern's also logging all the people that are responding to the notices, and she told me as of this afternoon, 14 out of the 29 people have actually requested to meet with myself and Superintendent Connolly. So we were on top of that. And ultimately, we're going to vet all those issues before we go out to construct.
Awesome.
Thank you. So if there's any questions on anything that Andy and I discussed, we'd be happy to do that now.
Have nothing to say to me?
I do. It's
Village business. I think this is village business.
I'm out there every day, and
I hear this everywhere.
yeah,
So this is a question about the
broken record hour. I'm going to tell you that if that road's not open by the end of this year, I think
I think I heard
I'm going to have a lot of soul searching to do.
They were gonna have a ribbon cut last.
Yeah, it'll be a red ribbon for the holiday.
So much. Okay.
You're really going to like finished product, Councilman
Like
Wilshire.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
For me to
nice.
come to I have to go about half a mile now. I gotta.
Can you walk across yet or not? No, still no. It looks like that.
It is
Good.
possible to walk across, but
Yeah.
it is not open to the public yet.
It feels like it could almost get to the point where that could happen. Anyway, Okay, just for Councilman Welcher, only for him.
I've heard it before. Thank you.
Are there any questions about any of the components that were discussed? No? Okay. So we look forward to hearing back from the Department of Health on McCarthy. And we have not gone out to bid yet. I'm sorry, we haven't gone out to bond yet for McCarthy either. That was something that we had talked about for next year because we don't anticipate paying for any of it until next year. So just to make sure that the board is clear on that. And I think we aren't 100% sure yet if we were planning to use the CHIPS money this year. We are going to use the CHIPS money this year towards paving, but we are also using unincorporated fund balance for the remainder of the project for Studio Hill. Okay?
And because you mentioned it again, not only with McCarthy, but with Haymont and Studio Hill, I know the superintendent and I had discussed him giving notification via flyers and whatever else he has to do to notify the residents about parking restrictions and some inconveniences and leaving early and all that other stuff. So he's on top of that.
Do you talk to the schools as well? Because the school bus goes up the hill.
Yeah, typically we call the school and say this is where paving is going to be road closure, so the police know and OVAC and fire department. But there's really not. Usually when we do those type of operations, particularly during the school year, we wait to start the heavy machinery until the buses are all cleared out, and we start that process once all the youngest kids are in class.
Okay. And I also heard from Superintendent Connolly that we're considering striping on that road as well, where there hasn't been any.
Well, I think some time ago there was a double yellow line on Studio Hill Road, and I believe it's worth it. There's a grade there and there's turns there, so in a condition like that, it's safer to have a double yellow line there to keep people.
And a shoulder as well?
I think he
There's
was.
room for that?
We talked about also putting a fog line on there for potential pedestrian, make it a little safer for pedestrians that want to walk up.
That's been a big hit on Underhill Road. I know that much. Okay. Great. Thank you both so much for all the great work that you've done. And I know that you're always looking to find new and innovative ways besides spending the money, also looking for ways to save us money. And we very much appreciate that. And also keeping our residents happy. So thank you very much. Good night. All right. Off to public comment on any of our. Oh, sorry. Oh, Bill. Sorry, Bill. I'm sorry. Okay, yes. Finally, our fourth guest of the night to come chat with us is Bill Garrison, our superintendent of recreation. I'm so sorry, Bill.
That's quite all
He's
right.
here fresh off the end of summer camp. I'm sure he's got a lot to tell us about some of the cool and exciting events that transpired at the rec and in our camps this summer, as well as what we have to look forward to coming up this fall.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
So I'll start with the summer camp. We made some changes this year with the summer camp and how we regroup them. We have 5 different camps, 2 were at Brookside, and we had pre-K and K and first grade at that camp. And that was because we saw that there were a lot more younger kids. So we were able to take more kids. So we ended up with making all the changes, increasing our number of registered campers. We went well over the 500 mark, which was great. We continue to be the largest youth employer in the town, where we hired over 75 teens to work at the summer camp. We did a online survey that went out to about 350 families for the camp. The survey was in English and Spanish, and we received over 138 responses back. And what we were looking for was to see a few things. One was how parents felt their child's experience was at camp. We felt that that was an important thing to know. And we were pleased that the results we got were that 91% felt that the experience was good to excellent. We also were concerned about what parents felt of if the supervision was adequate. And we got the results back, and that was 92% felt that the supervision was good to excellent. So we were happy with those results. We also wanted to know, we felt that it was important if parents felt that leaving their kids there, if they felt their kids were safe and well cared for. And that was a yes or no question, and 99% was yes, that they felt that the kids were safe and well cared for. Our fourth question, we wanted to make it a real short and simple survey, was about how well do we communicate. And this is always a problem. It's always a problem with summer camps. Been in summer camps for many years, and we got a good to excellent was 81%. And that's with our pre-camp information, what's going on, calendars. So that's an area that we're really going to take a look at for 2020 and to see how we can improve that, using a little bit of more technology and social media to try to communicate some of those things. Swim lessons, we also did a little bit of change with our swim lessons. If anyone was taking them in the past years, our swim lesson programs were mainly 10 weeks long. We shortened those down to 6 weeks, which made the cost a little bit less for people and families. And also we were able to get 2 6-week sessions within our seasonal offerings. So actually we're offering more swim lessons. This took off. Our registrations went up. Our swim lesson programs sold out. We had to add more instructors, and that continues to happen. We also added swim lessons over the summer, which was a new thing as well, and those were just as popular. So we're looking forward to finding more ways we can offer more swim programs. We're looking into ways of trying to get our lifeguards, more of our lifeguards trained as water safety instructors to kind of enhance the quality of our swim lesson programs. We did 2 new special events this summer. One was our family entertainment series, which was held at Henry Gordine Park. This was a 3-night series that we did, and the idea was to have a place where families could go for a little entertainment. We had a magician one night, we had singing and dancing another night, and a juggler. And those were well attended. We had about 75 people at each one of those. And it was nice just to have it right down there by the river, and just an opportunity for kids and families to get out together. We also offered a 6-week acoustic music series at Market Square, where we had a lot of our performers were all local people in the general area, Ossining included, and Croton. We struggled with Wednesday weather, which always seemed to rain on Wednesdays this past summer, but we were able to get 5 of those 6 performances in on reschedule. We're hoping that it kind of grew as the summer went, and a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't know about this. So we hope that we can get something that we can continue and kind of make it a traditional annual event. The Cedar Lane Art Center. This is, I think, one of the biggest successes we've had in the past year. When I came on in April of 2018, looking at the 2017 numbers right when the Art Center started, there was a big discrepancy in revenue and in expenses. So we've got that pretty much evened out. The registration has greatly increased in the past year, where most of our adult clay programs and youth art programs are all up and running, and some of them, many of them are actually full, and people are put on wait lists. So we're very happy with the way the Art Center is progressing. Overall, recreation program is up compared to a year ago. We have more programs going on. The registration has increased. Our online registration, making it more convenient, has increased by nearly 40%. So more and more people are taking advantage of the online opportunity to do so. We have all of our field and facility requests are now online, where people can go in and see calendars, what's available. They put in the requests. They get emailed a permit, so everything is taken care of through that. We introduced a few new programs. One popular program that we started was pickleball. The seniors have found that that's a very popular program and continue to look for more and more pickleball time. But we actually started last week and introduced pickleball to the youth in the gym on evenings, and we were quite surprised about the interest level there. So we're looking to do that. Hopefully we would do at some point an intergenerational program of kids and seniors doing the pickleball.
Just to add in my 2 cents, I have played pickleball, and it's a lot of fun. So if you like tennis, or if you like ping pong, but you don't want to move too fast, too far, pickleball is a great alternative.
That's correct. And we have as long as you have a recreation membership, we have 4 different opportunity times to do drop-in pickleball, and there's always people there to play. And we also offer pickleball lessons on, I believe it's Wednesdays, and that there is a fee for that, for the lessons. We have an instructor that comes in and offers those lessons. We also currently I'm running a fashion program for teens, which is going on in the community center. We had kayaking going on at Lewis Angle Park this past summer, which was nice to some of the sunset paddles, and we had lessons for kids and adults on weekends. Our after-school program is maxed out at 120 kids. Each of our groups are totally full. We do have some waiting lists for some of those kids, so we're working to try to figure out how to help families, because obviously there's definitely a need for after-school care for grades K through 6. We have some upcoming events. Our Fall Family Fun Day is on October 5th, and that's going to be at Market Square. And the very popular Halloween on Main is going to be on Halloween, October 31st. We also, our Recreation Advisory Board is in need of some Recreation Advisory Board members. So we have seats open both for the village and town representatives. So hopefully we can get those filled to help work with our members with the board.
Awesome. And we thank you for partnering with registration for the Mind, Body, Spirit Ossining program this summer. Any chance that you might know how we did with pavilion rentals this summer? Because I think this is the first summer in a long time that all of our pavilions were up and running. Or is that just something that you could get back to us on?
I can get back to you on that in the revenue. I know that we had a lot of requests for pavilions, and they were each weekend. At least one of the pavilions was being used at one point,
Right.
not 2 or 3 at the same time.
Thanks also for help with the Wheat Room production. I think you helped us kind of figure out what a good spot would be for that. And also, I just wanted to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot a tiny bit, but you sent me something this morning as a proposal, something that you had brought up, and I think you may have also discussed with the Rec Advisory Board, was finding better spaces for some of our pickup soccer or some of the soccer programs that are out and about. Do you want to talk a tiny bit about what you were thinking about for Gerlach? I think it's Gerlach, right?
Yeah, Gerlach or Cedar Lane.
Or Cedar Lane. Okay.
Something that's kind of popular in some communities is what's called urban soccer. And soccer is so popular in the communities, and there's generally in urban areas not a lot of space to play soccer. And that's true here in Austin. We don't have a lot of field space. So urban soccer, I've created basically, it looks like a hockey rink with the boards, and it's on turf, and it's netted all around, and you play small-sided soccer. Some people refer to it football, and you play 5-on-5, and it's really easy to maintain. It's turf. You can set up kind of a complex. So I sent to Supervisor Levenberg just some information on it and some estimated pricing for it, which is something that I think we consider. It's not crazy amount of money, and it's something that would definitely get used, and I think it also has a potential for revenue, which would definitely pay for itself in a few years.
That's what I was hoping you could talk a little bit about. So what can you just talk a little bit about? I know you got me some projections,
for two fields, it was roughly with lights.
No, not the expenses. I just want you to talk about the revenue side. Like, why is it a revenue generator?
Well, the revenue is that I think with this you would charge to use it, and I think that there's a lot of leagues and clubs and teams that would want this space. One is that it would be available in the early spring, so you usually can't get on the fields until mid-April. Once the snow clears and melts, you can use this facility because it's on turf, and also you can play later. Also, if you install lights, you extend the time where now there's only Gerlach has lights and Vets Park has lights, but that's it. That's just 2 fields. This would extend playing time in many hours. So you could rent those hours, but also do leagues and tournaments where I think, 7 days a week. On weekends, you could go 12, 14 hours a day. And I think that this has got a potential for it, that people are looking for space. And if you get the right price point, people will pay it because of the facility. And I think it's got a great potential.
You happen to get some information from one of the companies that's on our U.S. Communities that's having a big sale on one of these turf field urban soccer facility. I don't exactly know what to call it because it's somewhere between a field and a facility. Multi-use courts. Thank you. Court. That's good. So I thought maybe I just thought it was a good opportunity to just kind of highlight for the board, and then maybe we could have a little bit further discussion about it, and maybe come back to the board with some proposals and thoughts. And when is the next rec advisory board meeting?
October 7th.
October 7th. So that could be great if we had something for the rec advisory board to weigh in on, and then maybe come back to talk to us about the following week. Is that following week? This town hall meeting, but possibly, yeah. Okay, so between that and a couple of other pieces of equipment that are also on Jastic sale, we've been talking about one of the swing sets is broken at Angle Park. We had to remove when we were looking at that space with a representative from the U.S. Communities company to see if we could replace the swing set and possibly put in a piece of adult fitness equipment as well, since so many people seem to be using our playground equipment for adult fitness. We thought maybe we could, find a way to make everybody happy down at the waterfront. And then also we had taken a tour recently with our insurance broker just to look at all of the different pieces of equipment, what their condition was, and evaluate if some of the pieces need to be replaced. They're at their end of their useful life. So we think that there might be a couple of other opportunities for places that could get some good options. So hopefully we'll have something for you for that October 7th meeting, and then we can get the feedback and bring it back to the board.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Does anybody have questions for Mr. Garrison?
Where it would.
Well, we had gotten a proposal for the fit from the company after they done all the measurements, because there's specific measurements for safety requirements that so they'd done the measurements basically and come back to us with a proposal.
Okay, so where in Cedar Lane Park or where in Berlin?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think we're looking at 2 options each for 3 different sites. So we're talking about the smaller side of Buck Johnson Park. So anyone who's not familiar, that's Blue Lantern Road off of North State. There's a very, very large playground on the left-hand side for bigger kids, and then on the right-hand side, there's an older swing set and playground equipment. So we're talking about that side. Then at Angle Park, we had a couple different configurations, one of which has been mapped out already by the company, and the second we are anticipating being mapped out by the company shortly. And then we're talking about Burlack Park for the multi-use whatever to replace where the basketball court used to be.
Okay, so that's where you're thinking of putting that multi-use
Yes.
in Gerlach.
Yes.
You don't have a Cedar Lane.
Not at this time, because we still have a couple spots over there that I don't think anybody has really given serious thought to what would be a good permanent installation over there.
We have
next
talked
to the
about
garden
the
and then
old
behind the
basketball
garden.
court / the section where people are playing volleyball, but we haven't really gotten anything resolved. All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comment? Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Great. Good night.
Okay, now we are going to move into public comment on agenda items. Is anybody here to comment on any of the agenda items? Hearing none, we will move into our board resolutions.
Okay. Approval of minutes, regular meeting, September 10th, 2019. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining hereby approves the September 10th, 2019 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Approval of voucher detail report. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated September 24th, 2019 in the amount of $819,560.64.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
So this was a big voucher detail report for us. We finally received the last truck that we had ordered back in February for Dale Cemetery. We paid our 5th of 6th annual payments to OVAC, our volunteer ambulance corps. We had our September IMA payment to the Village of Austining, and summer water bill for the spray park, also payable to the Village of Austining, which is always large because it's from, I think, June through August, and that's when our spray park is at its peak, as well as our October 2019 medical bill. And we got our long-awaited new generator for the S-turn pump station. And you could hear a little bit from Andy Teese how necessary it is to make sure that those are up and functioning. Also, our new guardrails are in and looking spectacular. You can visit phase 1 along Croton Dam Road, Stormytown Road, Old Albany Post Road, and McCord Road, otherwise known as Narragansett Avenue, once you reach the town line. And special thanks to Highway Superintendent P. Connolly and our intermediate clerk Fern Quesada for all of their hard work staying on top of our infrastructure needs and keeping our costs in line. We are so very proud of them both, as well as our awesome highway crew who can always be counted on to get the job done right. Any questions on the voucher detail report? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Stipulation of agreement between Town of Ossining and CSCA. Be it resolved that upon recommendation of the town supervisor, the town board hereby ratifies and approves the stipulation of agreement regarding Sandra Anelli's job description and rate of pay between the Town of Ossining and Civil Service Employees Association, Inc., Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Town of Ossining, Unit Number 9182, Westchester County, Local 860, retroactive to January 1st, 2019, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute the stipulation on the town's behalf.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Stipulation of agreement between Town of Ossining and CSCA. Be it resolved that upon recommendation of the town supervisor, the town board hereby ratifies and approves the stipulation of agreement regarding a corrected salary schedule for the title of Senior Office Assistant for years 2017 through 2021 between the Town of Ossining and Civil Service Employees Association, Inc., Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Town of Ossining, Unit Number 9182, Westchester County, Local 860, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute the stipulation on the town's behalf.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Resolution Town Policy Manual. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby ratifies and approves the Employee Policy Manual for the Town of Ossining, effective September 24th, 2019, including the following policies: Equal Employment Opportunity / Affirmative Action Policy, Oath of Office, Code of Ethics, Americans with Disabilities Acts, Sexual Harassment Prevention Policy, Unlawful Harassment Policy, Workplace Safety / Violence Policy, Work Badge Policy, Reimbursement of Town Employee Business Expenses, Policy governing the use of computer and telecommunication systems, confidential information, vehicle usage, driver's license / insurance requirements, personal appearance / dress code, solicitation and distribution, smoking, drug-free workplace and drug-free awareness, Department of Transportation Controlled Substance and Alcohol Testing, Family and Medical Leave Act, Affordable Care Act / Healthcare Marketplace Policy, Open Enrollment Policy, Bloodborne Pathogens Policy, Confined Space Policy, Hazard Communication Policy, Rights of Nursing Mothers, Leave for Cancer Screening, Military Leave, Blood Donation Leave, Leave for Volunteer Firefighters and Emergency Responders, Leave to Vote, Deduction from Pay Policy for Exempt Employees, and be it further resolved that all policies contained herein supersede any previously adopted versions of similar policies as of the effective date of this resolution, and be it further resolved that this policy manual, including any and all policies contained herein, may be updated on an as-needed basis pending approval by the then sitting town board and under advisement by council to the town and/or labor council to the town and impacted bargaining units when necessary.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
So, this is a momentous day, and we have our cheering squad over here, Madeline Zahach, our personnel director, and she has been working very hard on this alongside our labor council to the town from Bon Shonik, Craig Olivo, and we're very happy that we finally gotten to the point where both of our collective bargaining units have approved the new manual, and none too soon, because we need to have our new and updated sexual harassment policy in place, and all of our staff, as well as our board members, trained, as well as all of our volunteer boards trained with the new newly approved state approved sexual harassment policy. So we many of us have already taken, and I better mention, we have our assessor Fernando Gonzalez in the house, and we put out to all of our department heads the other day at our staff meeting that we, out of our pockets, would be very happy to provide pizza to whichever department got their entire staff trained fully on the new sexual harassment policy through NYMER, which is one of our insurance company, and make sure that everybody got their certificate and passed their individual exam, their little quizzes for each chapter, and the assessor's office did win. So congratulations, Fernando, to you and your staff for taking this very seriously and doing such a good job getting this done in one day from the challenge. So we thank you for that. And it's, as mentioned, was fully vetted. Every town staff member is going to receive a brand new binder as soon as they are all printed. We just got the approval, I think, yesterday, with all of the town policies and all of the appendices with a variety of different reporting documents if needed in as part of the manuals. And we will make sure that everybody signs off on receiving all those manuals so that we will be ready to rock and roll with our new employee handbook. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yahoo! 2 years. I forgot to mention 2 years. It's taken 2 years. And thank you so much for your patience, Maddie, in working through this. This was not easy, and we did literally read through every page backwards and forwards multiple times. So thank you for that. All right. So with that, I think we're moving right into correspondence to be received and filed. We have none. So we have visitor recognition, and we do have a member of the public. Would you like to be recognized and address the board for anything at all whatsoever? Okay, just observing. Okay. Well, that reminds me, we do have Aaron Moore in the audience this evening. He's the president of our local chapter of the NAACP, and thank you for being out at the village at the farmers market this weekend. We do anticipate having you visit us at our next work session, October 1st, and we are going to talk collectively about how we can do a better job from the town's perspective and in our collaboration coordination with other groups in town at educating people about being more sensitive to a variety of symbols that might offend people based on their race or beliefs. And we appreciate your taking the time to come talk to us about that. Okay, we'll talk about it. You will be. Okay, and the NAACP is going to be back at the farmers market again, and they're very persuasive, and I did join, so I encourage everybody to do so. Okay, with that, I think that is there anything else that I need to say? With that, I would ask for a motion to go into executive session for advice of counsel and personnel.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? We wish you a wonderful week, and don't forget to check out the Hudson River Valley Ramble and all the great things going on in and around Ossining. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week at our work session.